Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show, guys. I'm telling you, this is crazy. The amount of information that is coming out today. Republicans are ready to defy Trump after Mike Johnson's endorsement. Guys, this is insane. We already are up to 5 Republicans that have said they are not going to vote for Mike Johnson. And remember, he can only lose 1 vote or else he's going to need help from the Democrats. On top of that, they said Mike Johnson won't be good at enacting Trump's agenda. This is what Republicans are warning. And with this, we are seeing now that this is going to be a fight that's maybe going to take weeks, hopefully it doesn't, to get a new speaker in the House. Because if these 5 Republicans stand against him, then Speaker Johnson is not going to retain his speakership. On top of that, the Democrats have said they are not stepping in to save Mike Johnson either. And I've got some crazy news for you guys that after I've been digging, doing some research, it doesn't look good for Mike Johnson. Trump is fighting now against the Democrats and some of the GOP members to retain Mike Johnson as speaker. But these Republicans have said they're ready to fight against Trump because their country means more to them than putting the rhino Mike Johnson back as Speaker of the House. And we do have the leaked info that even Congressman Bob Good posted that since Mike Johnson has been Speaker, all major legislation in the House has passed with more Democratic votes than Republicans. Number 1, they have not cut spending by $1 since he's been Speaker, and they have continued to run a $200 billion monthly deficit on the taxpayer. So guys, this is getting insane and it's getting real, but we'll keep bringing the breaking news for you on what else is coming out. We have information now from the Inspector General that the DOJ officials violated law and leaked sensitive and private info to the media to hurt Trump's re-election chances. A lot of people say we're not going to stop digging and investigating. Even though Trump won, we want to bring the American people the truth. But this is the weaponization of government against Trump, and it was real. It wasn't fake. It's been happening this entire time, and we now have the evidence. There is also a smear campaign coming from the media that is anti-Trump. They're trying to smear him as much as possible before he gets into office that he is going to wreck America. But polls are showing that 57% of people polled are hopeful that Trump will bring good change. With the debt ceiling in play, Mike Johnson speakership in play, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to see some real infighting in Washington. But guys, I've been telling you, I've been putting this out there. Guess what's been announced today? X.com, formerly Twitter, has announced that XTV is coming in 2025. Elon Musk's plan to bring a TV outlet to the X platform is real. This is also fueling the speculations that he may purchase MSNBC to bring over an audience into X. And a lot of people say, well, MSNBC is Democrat. Well, guess what? There's actually 1% more Democrats on X than Republicans. So we'll see what happens. But we got a ton of breaking news for you today, guys. We're about to be in a new year. This is so exciting, guys. I want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button so we can serve you every day with the top news. Monday through Friday, 2 shows a day, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. And thank you so much to all of our members of the channel. I see you're already killing it. I love it. If you want to be a member, the link is in the description to join. And thank you so much, everybody that gives a super chat donation. Thank you so much, Elaine Demeen, so much. We appreciate your support. We couldn't do this without you guys, and I'm so excited. We have a community that is givers, that wants to give to the charity that we donate to once a month. We're super excited for this new upcoming year, and we're so excited for where TrueLife News is going. But we got a ton of breaking news to get into tonight. They are really pushing against the fight. Some of them are for Johnson, some of them are against, but check this out.
Beautiful opportunity here. Every party in the world would love to have a chance of having the executive office and the houses of Congress both be under their one party. Could Republicans, just a handful of Republicans, screw it up by voting down the speaker on Friday?
Well, David, hopefully not. We don't want to, if we can use a New Year's Eve analogy, fumble the ball, if you will. 5 million more Americans chose Republican leadership in Congress, in the House, than they did the Democrats. And we need to move forward. We're unified. We had a selection in November. We all nominated Mike Johnson uniformly, every single one. It was by acclamation. There was no other candidate. And David, to date, there's no other candidate. So we need to get the ball. The American people gave it to us, and we need to march it forward. President Trump has a great relationship with Mike Johnson. I mean, can you imagine John Boehner or Paul Ryan going to a UFC fight with Donald Trump? That would have never happened. So let's go back to limited government, low taxes, reasonable regulation, pass the tax, extend the tax cuts, and secure the border.
Well, Congresswoman, the question is not only what should come first, but can you do it all together in one package? Some people say you can. The bottom line, though, is that Americans are hurting right now. We have, even though the Fed lowered interest rates a tick a couple of weeks ago, the market is raising interest rates. Mortgage rates, a 30-year fixed rate mortgage has gone from 6.1% to 6.7% in just the past 4 weeks. People's paychecks just aren't getting what they used to by a long shot. They want money in their pockets right now. They're overextending their credit card debt as a result of not being able to afford to pay cash for stuff. I mean, that's why we really think that a tax extension and maybe with some extra tax cuts in there in some kind of reconciliation is necessary as job number one, no?
I agree with you 100%. We've been trying to push to have one reconciliation bill to make sure that those tax cuts get extended and that a tax bill gets passed. You know, when I hear some of my Democrat colleagues talk about, oh, it's just the rich, it's just the billionaires, I need them to understand it's 90% of American taxpayers, if these cuts are not extended, will feel one of the largest tax increases in American history, 90% of American taxpayers. So I don't know how many people they think are billionaires, how many people they think are the rich, or how they define it. But they need to understand it's a very large portion of their constituents that are feeling it. And to your point earlier, when you were saying how much the increases in revenue, we can show when you get these small businesses, like 23 million small businesses, tax cuts, they actually invest in their employees. They invest in the future of their business and they grow. What that results in is higher revenues for the government, not lower. But it also represents opportunities for everyday Americans to start businesses and to be able to thrive with job opportunities. And this is exactly what we should be focused on. That reconciliation bill will be key in making sure that our American economy not only grows, but sustains.
Just 1 year from today, December 31st, 2025, is the last day Congress has to extend those tax cuts. If not, what Congresswoman Van Dyne just outlined, the increase of taxes for just about everybody paying taxes is going to happen. That means, by the way, that you're going to lose at least one, if not both, houses of Congress, because if Americans see Republicans sitting in power with their taxes going up, they're going to vote you out of office.
Guys, and I'm telling you, the biggest things that are coming forth, there is a fight, whether you agree with it or not. Right now, Republicans are said they're ready to defy Trump after Mike Johnson's endorsement. Thomas Massie is literally leading the charge. He literally said, challenge accepted on fighting against Mike Johnson being the speaker. And thank you so much, B1 Sly One, for the super chat. It's a moment of silence to pray for Miss Tracy J. Norby's aunt. Our condolences. I love that, guys. That's so awesome. Y'all show B1 Sly One and Mr. Norby some love in the chat. So, guys, not only with this, check this out. He says, first, let me note that the vote for Mike Kemp is not trying to make the case that Mike Johnson is endowed with the qualities necessary to lead our conference, even if you have limited yourself here to procedural justifications for his speakership rather than telling us why he's a good or capable leader. Guys, that's what it's all about. Look at this video right here. Thomas Massie posted, let's pause to remember this moment in Congress when Mike Johnson gave the Democrats billions of dollars they wanted for Ukraine. The House Sergeant at Arms threatened to fine me for sharing this video. That same man still works for Mike Johnson, guys. Look, Democrats celebrating. I didn't know this, but I'm bringing you the facts, guys. This is from Congressman Bob Good up here. Congressman Bob Good said since Mike Johnson became Speaker in October 2023, All major legislation in the House has passed with more Democrat than Republican votes, as the Republican House majority has, one, failed to cut $1 of spending, and number two, continued a monthly $200 billion deficit. So it's not like they're making things up. I feel like there's a lot of people that have 100% seen that Mike Johnson just hasn't had the backbone to fight against the Democrats, and that's why they want something new. On top of that, listen to this, guys, because it's getting even deeper when it comes to the left-wing news, the anti-Trump media. Check this out.
Once you realize you've been lied to, not once or twice, but repeatedly, the PP hoax, the Spygate scandal you were told was fake but is real, the Hunter Biden laptop, the Mike Flynn attack by Joy Behar and others. Remember that? Once you've been lied to over and over, how do you go back? I've been bringing this point up so often that I'm glad, I know Glenn's been on this forever. Like, at what point do you say to yourself, I just want to hear the truth? Because think about this. Think about this. If this doesn't make sense, guys, tell me it doesn't make sense. You got to be the audience ombudsman. I get that the lies feel good. Donald Trump is a Putin asset if you're a crazy anti-Trumper, right? But there's a real material loss for you that you've been lied to. Hey, man, we got to lock this guy up. He's a fraudster. And then you weaponize government against him and he wins and you lose everything. At some point, you want to be told the truth, right? Does that make sense? Like, you want to be prepared to not lose even if the facts are uncomfortable? That reckoning is going to happen soon. Here's Tucker Carlson. He's on Clayton Morris's podcast talking about exactly the point Greenwald brought up, that their days are over. The hegemonic, monopolistic rule of the American psyche and zeitgeist of the day is over. Finita la musica, man. The song is over. Check this out.
If there's a lesson of what happened to television and newspapers, print, and legacy media, they died because they were corrupt. I mean, the business models changed, et cetera, et cetera. There are ways to, they won't evolve. Like, the people who work at NBC News will not have careers in journalism 10 years from now. And the reason they won't is not because of technology. It's because they have no credibility because they're corrupt. They're liars. So that's really the lesson. Corruption kills you, especially in a business predicated on trust, which is the media.
I get it. I get it was comfortable to believe this stuff because everybody wants the bête noire, you know? Everybody wants that beast that caused all their problems. Oh, it wasn't me. It wasn't me or my failures. It was the patriarchy. It was white privilege. Everybody who falls victim to their own shortcomings, everyone, good people, bad people, indifferent people, right? They want something or someone to blame. It's hard to look in the mirror and say, I didn't get it done because I didn't get it done. That's hard, folks. That's why liberalism is such an easy cop-out. The problem liberals are having now, the police did it to you, the white man did it to you, the patriarchy did it to you. The problem they're having now is this woke is now costing them. It has a real material impact. They're losing their power. They're losing their jobs. You see this story about the DNC today in Fox? These staffers are all crying because they didn't get severance pay. What the hell did you think was going to happen? They're like, we want $25,000 checks. You lost. You got severed by the voters. They told you to beat it. This is having a real material cost. And now liberals are starting to wake up and go, believing that and voting on it was a real mistake. We got robbed. We got mugged. Look at this Daily Wire story. We always bring receipts. Post-election fallout for George Soros-backed prosecutors. George Gascon from Los Angeles lost by over 600,000 votes to Nathan Hochman. Gascon was a Soros guy. So you see what I'm getting at? Because you believed Geraldo and others and left-wing media goofballs like Rachel Maddow and Al Sharpton that the police were hunting black men in the streets. A total narrative completely made up by the left. You voted for George Soros-backed liberal prosecutors. What did they do? They let bad guys out of jail that preyed on you, preyed on you, killed people, raped people, murdered people. And now you're like, you know what? There was a real material cost for me believing that BS. That's why you're seeing the shift. Oh, look, MSNBC, yeah, now they're worried about the future. Maybe you shouldn't have lied to people and your staffers wouldn't be worried about their freaking jobs. Folks, everything we've told you on this show, everything of substance, from Spygate to collusion to the laptop, everything we've told you on this show has turned out to be true. And if you doubt any of it and you believe again, the Twitter deep state crowd, just go do your homework about who was right and who was wrong. And you'll see why the deep staters and the liberal media hate us. We also
100%.
told you from the start that the lawfare against President Trump was going to backfire. Go watch the shows, man. The receipts are everywhere. Go back and watch past shows. Watch the couple days after he was mugshotted and dragged through court. We said this is going to blow up. If the New York Times crowd just would have listened to us, you may have fared better in the election. Here's the New York Times just the other day. Now finally acknowledge that the more uncomfortable truth is that, quote, our search for political salvation through the law has backfired. No, I told you it was going to backfire.
Let's go.
You remember the shows? Folks in the chat, do you remember you P1s out there, loyal Dan Bongino Army members? Love you guys. Do you remember me saying exactly these words? That there are a lot of people out there who, quote, have been aggrieved by government and feel like they've been screwed over. Their businesses were attacked by regulators and county commissioners. The IRS is auditing them for some BS tax bill from 5 years ago. They feel like the government gave them the double-barreled middle finger. So now what happens? The government goes after Donald Trump. And these people at home were saying what? Samuel Moyn from the New York Times, if you just would have listened to your boy Danny Boombots here, you wouldn't be writing this stupid article. They see Donald Trump get arrested for, at best, a political crime. At best, there was nothing there. And they're thinking, my gosh, a billionaire former president's a victim of the same system I am? They tried to make a race thing out of it. It wasn't a race thing. Yes, there were black men and Hispanic women and Asian women and Asian men who feel aggrieved. But it wasn't a black thing or a Hispanic thing. It was a people getting over thing, pardon my language. Too stupid to understand it, you New York Times morons. This show has been way ahead of it. If you idiots would have listened to us, you wouldn't find yourself now up the creek without a paddle. What?
Guys, I'm telling you, the news coming up against Trump. And guys, I'm telling you, this is actually crazy. So I wanted to show you the list. This is from the leading report. I don't know if you can read it that well on the screen, but Mike Johnson reportedly lacks the support of 5 Republican representatives, including Andy Harris, Andy Biggs, Victoria Spartz, Chip Roy, Thomas Massie. I want to show you this video too, because not only does Thomas Massie 100% not want Johnson to be speaker, he actually asked him to resign. Listen to this.
Yeah. What
yes.
is that?
Yeah, I asked him to resign.
When did you ask him to?
He said he would not. And I said, well, you're the one who's going to put us into this. Because the motion is going to get called, okay? Does anybody doubt that? The motion will get called, and then he's going to lose more votes than Kevin McCarthy. And I have told him this in private, like weeks ago.
You hear that? He said he's going to lose more votes than McCarthy did, and he's been telling him for weeks that this is going to happen because, remember, guys, no matter what, the House, they only have a 1-vote majority. And if we don't get everybody on par with the right person, then it's going to delay Trump's inauguration. It's going to delay the cabinet hearings. It's going to delay all Trump's agenda if they don't get on par. But at the same time, too, can you blame them? Remember, Mike Johnson, I told you, has not been able to hold his end of the bargain. Since he's been speaker, this is like I showed you earlier from Congressman Goodman. All major legislation in the House has been passed with more Democratic than Republican votes. How the heck does that even make sense? That he needed Democrats to save him in all these things. Brenda Crothers, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Say God blesses you, Joel. A happy new year. Let's go. Y'all show Brenda some love in the chat. And guys, I'm telling you this, that not only with that, the media is trying to double down on all this infighting, trying to create more disaster for Trump. Check it out.
For the Trump haters in the media, they were sure as day that the president-elect would crash and burn in the November election. But boy, were they wrong. But instead of admitting how wrong they were, now they're just bitterly lashing out at MAGA voters. Take a watch.
You're so stupid and you deserve it. You deserve it because you're so dumb. Yes, I am gloating over your stupidity.
The guy with the GED and his fake Oakley sunglasses, his goatee, and his pickup truck, you know, the universal Twitter bro that you see in every avatar on Twitter, that guy's thinking to himself, oh, well, I could have been the senior software designer at Google if only it weren't for DEI or immigration.
All those MAGA readers out there, now you'll notice the contradiction in terms, MAGA readers would pick up the Washington Post and they would have more readers. What is the logical fallacy here? Yes, reader.
Can you say anger management? But they couldn't be more out of step with the American people who can't wait for 45 to become 47.
Yes.
According to a new poll, a majority of Americans, 57%, say that they are more hopeful about 2025 than they were for 2024. Among those who say they're genuinely hopeful about 2025, their top reason is that Donald Trump will be president. Kennedy, watching Don Lemon, media golden boy, who went from golden boy to wet towel, like faster than you can say breaking news. I mean, is he a victim of Trump derangement or what?
Yeah, I feel, you know, it's like the arbiter of intellectual, academic thoughts, Don Lemon's like, you're dumb and you're stupid and you're so stupid and you deserve it. And voters like a majority of voters like, yeah, no, we do deserve it. Thank you. Like, we deserve lower taxes and to be able to make jokes again. So we're all kind of happy about that. And, you know, you look at people like Rick Wilson and Don Lemon and Jennifer Rubin, and they are leftist elites. And that is what the Democrat Party has become. They are so out of touch with American people, particularly American workers. And they think that, you know, their narrow vision of how the country should be shoved down people's throats because at least Don Lemon is saying what he believes out loud. They think people are dumb. They think they are better than everybody else. And that's why Democrats lost.
Well, yeah, and Charlie, when you talk about the voice of the media, first of all, how can you actually trust the media at this point? Even if we were to watch Rubin a little bit longer, she goes on saying that she's not political, that she's just factual. But she wrote an entire book in 2021 about, you know, trying to defeat Donald Trump.
And, you know, what's kind of funny about people like Jennifer Rubin is that even if you go back before 2016, these people were not influential. No one was listening to them. And all that Trump has done is he's exposed the fact that not only was nobody listening to these people, but they had absolutely no idea what most Americans believed. And as Kennedy points out, especially working people, no concept whatsoever. But I really think that number you highlighted, that 57% hopeful, and this goes back to what you just said a minute ago, most Americans are not as partisan as these people would like to believe. And they're hopeful, they're not, politics isn't the first thing they think about. And they're just looking for a reason to be hopeful about next year. And it turns out that President Trump embraced all the policies that makes them more hopeful. And Joe Biden embraced none of them. And Kamala Harris embraced none of them.
Well, that's right. And Tom, so first of all, it was very clear that they were out of touch with the American people throughout the last, even this entire election cycle. But what I have a problem with is when you saw Biden in his gritted teeth and he was talking about Carter after he died. And when it was asked, you know, about comparing Trump to it, he's like, Trump can learn decency. Decency, look at what they're saying about Republicans. What about deplorables, trash, weird, and every other name under the book that the Democrats and liberal media continue to call Republicans? Who's being decent and who's not here?
Yeah, and it's never been the case. Guys like Rick Wilson and people in the the political strategist world, they were never dignified, but they thought that was their business. We're in the trenches and we talk dirty and everything, but the candidates, we put them out there and we present this kind of phony, holier than thou persona for people to vote for. Trump came in and destroyed that whole thing. There's a discussion on Twitter this morning about whether Trump had a landslide or not. And they're, well, it wasn't quite a landslide. You can't even talk in planetary Earth-based analogies when it comes to Trump. Think of outer space, like the solar system. Trump came in like another planet, and he sent these people out of their orbit, flying off into space. But then you have people like Rick Wilson, and you got Jennifer Rubin and Don Lemon, and they're just orbiting around the Trump planet, and they're going to stay there. They're like the little birds that are just feeding off the rhinoceros their whole life, just eating the bugs. Trump has created entirely new economies of thought, and they're going to stay obsessed with Trump. Other people like Mitt Romney, they just went off into orbit. They're gone. They went out into outer space. We're never going to see them again. But it's amazing, the people, they are not going to be able to give up on Trump. So yeah, it was more than a landslide. It was a total shift.
Guys, a 100% total shift. And what I'm about to show you next, guys, it's literally getting insane when it comes to this mass deportation. I want to say thank you, Summerman, for the super chat. Let's go. So happy New Year, and everyone get ready for the collapse. Democratic Party is literally infighting so bad. And thank you so much, Mr. Norby, for the super chat. Let's go. He said, let's bring in the new year with a bang. The administration sucks. We need to turn we the people around to the right direction in our country right now. Or we lost to the swamp and elites. God bless y'all for the kind words. Let's make USA great. Let's go. Y'all show Mr. Norby some love in the chat as well as Summerman. Guys, I tell you what, y'all are the best chat ever. But this broke earlier, just a couple of hours ago. Everybody, the Mexican government is deploying hundreds of lawyers to the United States to assist 4 million Mexican migrants living illegally in the country. Not making this up, guys. They're trying to protect migrants from deportation due to significant remittances they send back to Mexico. So think about it. This is true, guys. Trust me. I know this very, very well. A lot of people, they come to the United States, they work, and then they'll send it. I remember, guys, back in the day, because this is the thing. I am third generation American. So my parents were born here. Their parents were born here, but then their parents actually came over, I'm pretty sure, illegally. It is what it is. But what they would do was they come over here, they work, and then they send Western Union, if y'all still remember what that is, back to Mexico. And this is what they're saying that they sent $63 billion in 2023 back to Mexico. So these lawyers are going to come to America from Mexico to help fight against Trump deportation. You can't make this stuff up, guys. On top of that, there is another infighting with two of Trump's actually pretty close people, guys. And this guy, y'all may know his name, Steve Bannon, is actually making a lot of sense. And he is 100% fighting Elon Musk about what the heck they're doing with the H-1B1, about trying to come in at the last moment and trying to fix things. Because remember, Elon Musk voted for Biden in 2020. He voted for Hillary in 2016. He's been a long-time Democrat. A lot of these people have. And now they're trying to come in and trust me, I'm with them. Cut government, cut spending, limited government. But Steve Bannon has a big problem with them trying to come in right now and trying to tell everybody what to do when he's like, where have y'all been? Check this out.
If you can work out the mathematical formulas and the engineering complexity of sending a colony of human beings to Mars and keep them alive, you can work through the math on this, and you know it's a bald-faced lie. And here's how I know you know it's a bald-faced lie, because you cratered as soon as we got up in your grill. Oh, okay, fine. Well, I won't fight to the death. I'm not going to fight to the death and show kind of new types of warfare. Why don't we reform? We need reform. And you're going to some BS answer, and you think we're going to buy that? Where did you come from, dude? Here's what you need to do. You need to study modern political history of the fights we've been through for 12 or 14 years to get to this spot. You think this just because people are just wandering around? People have worked for over a decade pounding this. And that's how relentless the established order is. Because Baccia told you, they're making a lot of money and they have control. And this is about money and power. It's not about race. It's not about gender. It's not about ethnicity. It's not about religion. That's what they want you to believe it is. So you're like a bucket of crabs at each other's throat. It's not about that. It's about money and power.
This guy would know.
And Karl Rove's going to get his 54 big donors down there. They're going to figure out how to stop Trump or how to compromise it. And they'll use Ted Cruz, or they'll use Little Marco, or they'll use Jeb Bush, or they don't care who they use. They'll throw up some chop block. They'll misdirect you. Oh, look at this. In that, there's some racism over there. You white folks, go look at that. That's a Fox specialty. We don't fall for that. So don't think you're going to come back and, oh, you know what? Well, what we need to do is increase it here and cut that cost there. Screw you, you clown.
Jesus.
And then you got to suppress us. Oh, they're, I don't know, blacklisting you, whatever they do. I don't care what they do on Twitter. I could care less. We're banned on every platform in the world, and this show is one of the most powerful in the world. Why is that? Because the content of the show resonates with the most powerful audience in the world. Working men and women that happen to be citizens of this great republic. This is a defining moment. Some of the people say, "Oh, Steve, we gotta have a group hug. You can't do this and let the Democrats." No, no, we're not having group hugs. We're not having pats on the head. You got to get this straight. First off, you got to get. Hey, I've said many times that Elon came and Elon's money helped organize the grassroots effort. In his engineering mind, he saw what the problem was as we saw it, and he supported it. And for that, he gets a place at the table. There's no doubt. You should. It's $250 million in June, not an entire cycle, in 5 months. But that dinner with Sachs and that check from Elon came at Biden's, when Biden, in the debate or right before the debate, and Biden, they kind of saw the numbers of where this thing was heading. Mm-hmm. They're recent converts. And we love converts. Hell, I'm a Catholic. We used to be in the convert business. Not so much anymore. We can't keep what we got. But in the old days, half the saints are missionaries. We love converts. But the converts sit in the back and study for years and years and years to make sure you understand the faith and you understand the nuances of the faith and understand how you can internalize the faith. Don't come up and go to the pulpit in your first week here and start lecturing people about the way things are going to be. If you're going to do that, we're going to rip your face off. Because you can't beat us. We're not beatable. This army of the awakened is not beatable because we're relentless and we will never surrender and we will never slow down. And yes, if you go low, we'll go to the center of the earth.
Let's go.
Because we're fighting for something that means something. We have meaning in this. This is why people watch this show. This is why people come to this show and all this great content people provide us. And Ben Berquam's down now, putting his life in danger again. Why do people do this? Why have they done this for years? Why did they do it for years at Breitbart? Why did when Trump started appearing in 13 or 14, we said, that's the guy.
Guys, and I'm telling you, the biggest fight is going to be, it's not just going to be against the Democrats. The Democrats is just like the face of it. It's going to be against the deep state. It's going to be against a lot of the deep state within the DOJ, within the FBI, within the CIA. Think about it like this. An investigation by the inspector. This just came out, guys, moments ago. Inspector General has found out that 3 senior DOJ officials violated the law by leaking sensitive and private information to the media to hurt President Trump's re-election chances. This is 100% real, guys. The OIG investigation has found that one of these 3 then senior DOJ officials violated the confidentiality in media contacts policy and DOJ's social media policy by reposting through a DOJ social media account links to the news articles. There's a lot of things that has been done to try to keep this guy from being president. but enough American people said that we got to make it too big to rig. And I'm 100% for Trump's agenda. What I don't want is for Mike Johnson to bend the knee like I feel like he has been ever since he's gotten into office. Tell me, somebody put it in the chat. Tell me one thing that Mike Johnson has passed since he's been Speaker of the House for the American people for a MAGA agenda. Tell me one thing. I can't find anything. All I find is that he made broken promises about fighting for the border. He said we were going to have a clean CR and we did it. And the thing about it is that now that we've got Elon Musk and Vivek, there's this big fight with them over the H-1B1. And it's a lot of people are like, is this a American first mentality? Because to a lot of people, it doesn't look like one. Let me know your thoughts. Check it out.
What does it mean to put America first? Many believe America is defined by our economic and military might. But America is more than that. It's a physical place with people who share common history, traditions, and culture. So how can we really be America first if our economy is putting American workers last? In the raging debate over the expansion of H-1B visa programs, Donald Trump's DOGE generals, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, insist these work visas are essential for tech companies to succeed. Now, these are competitive men, and I believe them when they say they just want America to win the global game against our adversaries. The question is, what is your definition of winning? And at whose expense should the game be played? The H-1B policy was created to bring the best and the brightest to America and address labor shortages in specialized fields. It's an argument that industry leaders have been making for years.
Now we face a critical shortage of scientific talent. And there's only one way to solve that crisis today. Open our doors to highly talented scientists and engineers who want to live, work, and pay taxes here.
On paper, that sounds like a noble cause, but in practice, it's been wildly abused and it undercuts American workers in tech jobs that no one can credibly argue that Americans don't want to do. Who can forget what happened at Disney when IT workers were laid off en masse and forced to retrain their foreign replacements?
I walked into a small conference room with about 24 highly respected fellow IT workers. The Disney executive made a harsh announcement to us all. All of you in this room will be losing your jobs in the next 90 days. Your jobs have been given over to a foreign workforce. In the meantime, you will be training your replacements until your jobs are 100% transferred over to them. And if you do not cooperate, you will not receive any severance pay.
Americans aren't opposed to bringing in more geniuses like Elon Musk, but let's not kid ourselves into believing Disney's replacements were all budding Einsteins. These workers are willing to put up with lower pay, longer hours, and overall worse conditions, unable to leave their jobs without risking deportation because they want to become citizens and bring their families over through chain migration. These companies are creating a permanent underclass of foreign workers. It's a rigged game designed to create cheap labor and make it impossible for American citizens to compete. This has been a
guys, and I want to make this point too, that if you don't know, when it comes to the H-1B1, if that person who is on that program, who gets hired and brought in, if they get fired from that job, they get deported immediately back to their country. So they're often abused, they're mismanaged in the workforce, because a lot of these employers know, like, look, what other choice you got? You're either going to do everything that I tell you to do, or you're going back. That's why they say the system is broken.
For decades, and despite our leaders getting directly called out about it, they refuse to take action.
My husband has an engineering degree with over 10 years of experience, and he was laid off 3 years ago and has yet to find a permanent job in his field. My question to you is, why does the government continue to issue and extend H-1B visas when there are tons of Americans, just like my husband, with no job?
What industry tells me is that they don't have enough highly skilled engineers. If your husband's in that field, then we should get his resume, and I'll forward it to some of these companies that are telling me they can't find enough engineers in this field.
Why do you think that the H-1B program is so popular with big corporations?
Good question. Obama's good at seeming compassionate, but when he left office, H-1B visas were at a record high. In his ex-post, Vivek Ramaswamy argues that the problem isn't mass immigration, but American culture itself. We need these foreign workers, he says, because our culture has, quote, venerated mediocrity for decades. We celebrate the prom queen over the math champ, the jock over the valedictorian. It's a convenient theory, but one that misses the mark entirely. American culture isn't the issue. It's the destruction of it that's at the core of the problem. American culture gave the world electricity, airplanes, cars, Elvis, the internet, Rocky Balboa, and Star Wars. What we're witnessing now isn't the failure of American culture, but the deliberate erosion of it. A demoralization campaign fueled by decades of mass immigration and an education system poisoned by cultural Marxism, a foreign and utterly un-American ideology. Dissing prom queens and promoting America Last visa policies won't restore our greatness. It's a distraction from the real issue, the dismantling of our national identity, the takeover of our schools by communists, and the devaluation of our labor. Sadly, we're replacing American goodness with godlessness. Some of MAGA's newest members envision a cold tech and corporate future for us, one that fails to appreciate the humanity and vulnerability of our own citizens. Secularism, transhumanism, and AI will never satisfy the soul. America needs God, family, love, and a return to real, not virtual relationships. According to the Constitution, we were promised a government that would provide for the common defense, promote general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty for the people. America is not a sports team, and winning in the stock market is not my definition of success for America. America First is not a slogan. It's a guiding principle. MAGA is about honoring our history and our Christian values. It's about protecting our people, our families, and our way of life.
Guys, and there's so much in that right there of what they're saying, guys, because I'm telling you this, what we have, I want to show you this, just because these are good reminders, guys, of what we've had to deal with over the past 4 years. This is what elitists have decided what was best for America, for their politicians, that instead of having a secure border, whenever Texas put the barbed wire to say, hey guys, stay away, stop coming over, they went and sent a forklift and they let people come in. This is, they're like, we're at a point now, and I believe it's a true inflection point for the United States, that we can either make changes or we're going to lose ourselves. This is another point that came out too. FEMA has officially confirmed that out of the 26 families that were told they would receive a temporary home before Christmas, only 3 families received one. You read that right, 3. This news that's coming out, our government is too big. We don't have enough of that American patriotism that's living in Congress. What we have is politicians living on Americans' dimes and trying to get everything that they can from the lobbyists. And right now, this is where we need change. Because again, too, Trump, he sided with Elon Musk on the H-1B1 visa program. But at the same time, too, am I always going to agree with Trump? No. And you will hear me say this, that I will always point out the truth that I feel is for an American First agenda, no matter what. But again, too, we all have our opinions. We all know. I want to bring you the truth. Check this out.
You have concerns about Elon Musk's business dealings in other countries, including American adversaries, and the level of influence that has over his own behavior and his interests.
I have no concerns about Elon Musk. I have been looking at pictures of Joe Biden and Hunter Biden meeting with Chinese political leaders lately that we were told didn't exist. So for all the people who are really upset about Elon Musk having a very successful international business that actually produces things, actually produces vehicles or rockets or whatever they're doing, the Bidens produce nothing, and yet we're also doing business in China. So I don't accept this.
I don't want you to change the subject because it's not really about whether he's a successful business person or not. It's about whether his material interests as a business owner are in conflict with the United States' national security interests.
My view is his prospects and interests as a business owner and most of the things he's into, electric cars, rockets, the internet that we're using all over the world. It's good for the United States to be the warehouse for that. It's good for our national security to have this kind of technology. I just, the idea that there is somehow a conflict in the United States having this kind of a businessman, and that's somehow bad for us, I just totally reject.
Here's Mark.
Guys, I'm telling you, there's a lot of infighting, even on CNN. A lot of people are questioning, like, we don't want the same oligarchs in office. We don't want, even Steve Bannon said it, guys. Think about it. When I think of true patriots, I think of people like John Kennedy. I think of Trump. I think of Steve Bannon. So we've got a lot of opinions and things out there happening right now, but I never want to take back from, like, there's stuff that has happened over the past 6 months to 12 months that we need to stay focused on because, again, too, remember, the biggest scandal ever that's happened was Biden's decline. And what's happening right now at the media is they're getting everybody focused away from Biden and from everything that's happened with them, and they're trying to put it on the negative stuff with Trump and his team. But listen to this, because, again, too, more of this is going to be investigated by Kash Patel, and more is going to come out. Check it out.
Mark Halperin, political analyst, who's joined us so often on National Report, and we're glad to speak with you a final time of the year. Mark, what do you think about this? CBS is finally coming to the realization this was a missed opportunity.
Well, Emma, you're too young, but Sean isn't to remember the old V8 ads. I mean, I don't get it. I just, the press now they're not really acknowledging their role in the cover-up. They're not acknowledging that they pretended the story wasn't happening on C-SPAN right before everybody's eyes.
Wow.
And all of a sudden it's safe for them to just a little bit say, oh, we kind of missed this story, should have been covered more. I continue to say this is one of the biggest scandals in media history, maybe the biggest in America.
You hear that?
And for places like Newsmax, your program, my reporting, I don't think we deserve a Pulitzer for reporting what we could see publicly. But I do think until the organizations that contributed to the cover-up come clean, they can't expect to establish any credibility with the broader public.
Yeah, I would expand on that to say that there was a choice to not report it. It was obvious.
Yeah.
It was an easy story to report, but there was some decision within whichever network, news organization, to not cover it or to ignore it. And it had major implications, which you were touching on about the consequences of going down that path without reporting on it, missing opportunities in a primary. I'll ask you about this, too, because the reporter there touched on it in the clip. A new Washington Post report, I believe you've read it, Mark, but revealing Biden regrets dropping out of this year's presidential race. It goes on to say this, quote, Biden and some of his aides still believe he should have stayed in the race despite the rocky debate performance and low poll numbers that prompted Democrats to pressure him to drop out. Biden and these aides have told people in recent days that he could have defeated Trump, according to people familiar with their comments who spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe private conversations, unquote. It was called delusional in that CBS News clip. Mark, if there is weight to this story, how do you see it?
Well, I think Joe Biden was right for years, literally, when he said he thought he had the best chance to beat Donald Trump. But at some point, it passed from having the best chance to beat Donald Trump to no chance. And again, I don't like to make everything into a media story, but that Washington Post story ignores, there's not a word in the story about his decline of mental acuity. And they don't have two paragraphs, as I would have writing that story, that says, here's the indications that Joe Biden's not right. He was not just behind Donald Trump, he was way behind. He would have been wiped out unless something dramatic changed. And I doubt something dramatic changed. Remember, after that debate, he had several weeks before he was forced out of the race where he tried to convince the Democratic Party and the voters he could do it. And he failed.
We're just showing some clips, you know, refreshing our memory of unfortunate moments in President Biden's term, where, you know, you see the physical struggle here, not to mention the mental challenges. I mean, we were going back in time. I was trying to think, when was the Easter Bunny leading him around? You know, that was years ago. That was, I believe, 2022 or 23. But either way, there were signs, you know, falling off the bike, talking to dead people, calling out for a deceased congresswoman. I mean, there were signs along the way. So my point is, you know, will the media change? Have you seen any signs that they're going to approach it differently?
Emma, I've told the story before. I saw Joe Biden do an event in 2017 with a friendly interviewer promoting a book. And afterwards I said, thank goodness his career in public life is over. Because what an embarrassment it would be for him and his family if he continued to try to do things in a public way. That was 3 years before he ran for and won the presidency, which without COVID, I think would have been a big challenge for him. I don't know that the media will change. The early signs are not encouraging. Not only the cover-up of Joe Biden's lack of lost mental acuity, but I still see very little curiosity on the part of most of the media about how Donald Trump won and why, what the MAGA movement is about. Joe Biden's failures on immigration, on inflation, on Afghanistan, and the press's role in covering those up, and Biden Inc., the failure to continue, or the effort to continue to protect Joe Biden and his family from what now is a clear pattern of lack of truthfulness on the acuity issue. I think people should have some doubts whether they've been honest about how Hunter Biden made his money. Yeah. So I don't see a lot of encouraging signs about change. I hope so.
Guys, I'm telling you, the cover-up is real. But I feel like it's more than a cover-up. I saw this post that came through my feed, and I wanted to show you this because we literally just sent $5.9 billion to Ukraine today and yesterday from Janet Yellen and Biden. Kid Rock posted this back. I don't think it has the date, but this was back whenever Trump wanted to build the wall. He said, do you remember when we didn't have $5 billion to build the wall, yet now we have $700 billion to give to other countries? In case you haven't figured it out, this is money laundering 101. And guys, this is where I go back to. This is the list right now of the 5 Republicans who are opposing Mike Johnson as Speaker. When the vote happens and goes on this Friday, it's going to be a fight. I showed you that Republicans are ready to defy Trump after the Mike Johnson endorsement. There's them, Sparks is a congresswoman. They came out and said Johnson needs to say how he'll deliver Trump's agenda, and he hasn't been doing it. All he says is that he's going to do it. And when you look at what Thomas Massie, who's literally leading the charge, said that it's not just enough for Mike Johnson to say he's going to do it, but I haven't seen it come through the chat. This is a list of what do we hope to gain. Number one, what do we hope to gain? No one can get more votes. It's somewhat ridiculous to assert that Mike Johnson is the only member of Congress electable to Speaker. He was only electable the first time because he hadn't held any type of leadership position, nor had he ever fought for anything. So no one disliked him and everyone was tired of voting. He won by being the least objectionable candidate, and he said no, and he no longer possesses that title. Thank you so much, Mr. Norby, for the super chat. Let's go. He said, bringing in the new year, TrueLife news source, give it till it hurts. I'll say dump the swamping elites, need to go permanently, stop giving American money away, 100%. And just like I showed you earlier, guys, remember, this is a congressman who has now posted and said this. Since Mike Johnson became Speaker in October 2023, all major legislation in the House has passed with more Democrat than Republican votes, as the Republican House majority has, number one, failed to cut $1 of spending. Number two, continued a monthly $200 billion deficit. Guys, the facts don't lie. Mike Johnson, like Thomas May said, the only reason he got the position is because he never really made anybody mad. He doesn't have the backbone to stand up because we just saw that with the CR bill that just came through. If Mike Johnson truly had the backbone to stand up against the Democrats then I'm going to show you this list. I showed this earlier. Then this would not have been in the CR bill. He called this, Mike Johnson literally called this a clean CR, and he said it wasn't an omnibus bill. But this CR bill that he was telling Republicans to pass allowed vaccine and mask mandates, vaccine passports. It took $200 billion away from Social Security. It protected the Congress from being subpoenaed of their emails or their phone calls or documentation. It gave $70,000 raise to all Congress people. It allowed Congress to get off of Obamacare. It allowed for more censorship through the Global Engagement Center. All this stuff happened under his leadership. And this is why I believe I'm 80% that we're going to get a new speaker. I think that because of his track record, he has literally not stood up for anything. Tell me again one thing, please, in the chat. What has Mike Johnson passed for the MAGA people that has actually been for MAGA since he's been speaker? I can't think of anything. And I just want to say, guys, the community tonight has been, I love the chat. Y'all are awesome. I would go for Jim Jordan. I would go for Byron Donalds. At least those people have come out and have been forcefully in passionately MAGA. And Jim Jordan has done a heck of a lot to bring the truth to the American people. And want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button so I can serve you every day with the top news. We do Monday through Friday, 2 shows a day, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. Guys, thank you so much. If you haven't hit the thumbs up like button, please do so. I'm so excited for this new year that's coming. I'm so excited for what True Life News is going to be, guys. Y'all are so amazing. We have the best chat out there. Want to give some shout outs to B1 Sly One, Brenda Crother, Summerman, Mr. Tracy J. Norby. Guys, y'all are awesome. Y'all are the real ones. If you want to be a member of the channel, the link is in the description to join. The True Life News fam is the best. Remember, every single month we give a donation to charity live on screen. We have literally given over $20,000 in the past 4 months. Glory be to God through this channel. We partnered with the channel that you gave and we gave together as a partnership to bring goodness in this world. And this next month we're going to be donating to Tupelo Mansion. It's a group home for orphaned kids that need help. And what they do is so phenomenal. You can go Google them, tupelomansion.com. And so I'm super excited for what we're going to be doing for that charity. But I want to say I love you all, appreciate you all. Happy New Year. The next time we see you will be in 2025. Love you all so much.